lunchtime.
You guys ready?
Anytime.
All right. Call this meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag's in the corner.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting August 10th. To start with then, has everybody had a chance to read the minutes? Are there any changes, corrections? None? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion then to approve them.
I'll move.
A second?
I will second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of our August 10th meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And then we've got our special board meeting. Motion passes. But now we've got our special board meeting dated July 14th. Hopefully everybody got a chance to look at those minutes. Has anybody got any additions or corrections to the minutes of that meeting?
When we put this on the website, can we insert the link to that PowerPoint for the presentation?
Yes.
Yep, sounds good. Anything else, guys?
Insert. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Entertain a motion, I would.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 14th special board meeting minutes.
Any seconds?
I will second again.
Been properly moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from our special board meeting July 14th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. Then we'll move on to the approval of general fund vouchers, 72,538 through 72,571, and the wire transfers, 151,639 through 151,648.
I will move to approve the general vouchers and wire transfers as listed.
I will second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the general fund vouchers. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Then we'll move on to public comment and questions. Does anybody have any comments or questions tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on then to old business. And there we'll start with the construction update.
Okay. As we said, I've been reporting all along, things are winding down at the elementary and here. At the elementary, the parking lots are blacktopped and now striped. HDMI cables are all installed. Here, the tiling is done. Waiting one final coat of wax, which will take place. Gary and his crew will do that this Friday, and we're all ready for school next week. We do have the sign out front at the elementary. It's been selected, and it's in the process of being made. That'll be installed also here, hopefully within the next week. Possibly 2 weeks, they weren't sure. And we're getting right down there on all the different things. We're going to start school on time this year.
That's good news.
So pretty soon there won't be a construction update on the agenda anymore.
That'll be good.
We're getting close.
It probably doesn't hurt your feelings either.
Not at all.
Anything else on construction update? All right, then we'll move on to old business B, approval of adjustment to adult lunch price.
Yep, right behind your vouchers. I'll let you take a look at the letter from Jessica Lesner from the DPI. Each year we have to file a food service contract with the DPI, and if you remember, we went through an audit and everything was fantastic in the audit. We approved the food service costs a couple meetings ago, and we felt that our adult prices, we raised them 20 cents, and when you run the formula, which you've got in front of you here from Jessica, it actually needed to go up to $3.38. We couldn't round down, and so in order to have our food service plan program approved, as you see here, we need to move it up to $3.40 for adults. So it's jumping from $3.10 to $3.40. I know Penny talked about not having that formula. There's legislation at the federal level possibly taking place, but it doesn't help us at this time. So we would need to make that correction or that adjustment. And so I'd recommend approving $340 for adult lunches.
Make a motion, we accept it.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Been properly moved and seconded that we adjust the adult lunch price up to $340. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now we'll move on to new business, approval of physical education volleyball assistant and softball assistant coach.
Okay. If you remember the last meeting, we accepted Kristen Lehman's resignation so she could move on and take another job elsewhere. We posted it. We had, help me out there, Mr. Gillis, 11 applications and interviewed for that position. We would like to recommend, it was Mr. Gillis, Mr. Peterson, Mr. Rosine, and myself, we'd like to recommend Alicia Chelberg. Alicia is originally from St. Croix Falls, went to Bethel to college, and has a physical education, health minor, and very interested in volleyball, very interested in softball. And so played softball in college, and but also was a volleyball player at St. Croix Falls, and so she's that background fits her to a T. So again, it's Alicia Chelberg is who we'd like to recommend. Anything, Chris, Nick?
Feel very fortunate to get a strong candidate this late in the game. She's a very strong candidate. I feel very fortunate. Bring her on board.
Does she live in St. Croix Falls right now?
Yes.
That's her address. Yeah.
Cool.
Planning on commuting, or is she going to move down? Or?
Couldn't ask her that.
Yeah.
Well, we can't.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Didn't know if she offered it.
Yeah, we are pretty fortunate. So she's waiting for our approval to start then.
Actually was at volleyball practice last Friday. She came herself and went along on the scrimmage today too. So
Good.
it's like say she was on Friday. Just took her down to introduce her to Mrs. Carlson, and she ended up staying around for the whole practice. So
will she be a volleyball assistant coach?
she'd be a volleyball assistant, softball assistant, and physical education and health.
And is that the 80% one there?
Yes, that's the 80% one.
All right, then I make a motion we approve that.
Do I hear any seconds?
I will second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve Alicia Chelberg as our physical education, health, volleyball assistant, and softball assistant coach. Which is, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Just a side note, we'll be asking all of our new hires to come to the first meeting in September so you guys can meet them.
Excellent.
Can I get the spelling on her name on that? Can I just look?
Yeah.
All right, then we'll move on to new business B, approval of the fall coaching roster.
Yep, right behind the letter from the DPI concerning the lunch price. Now that we have a full, you can see the, as far as football, Jason Sargent, head coach, Kent Hughes, still assistant, Dale Rosine, we had approved moving up, Steve Rubel, still an assistant, Brent Paulson, junior high, Ryan Blanchard, junior high. Brent, we had approved already. Then volleyball, Megan Carlson, head coach, Travis LeBlanc, assistant. You just approved Alicia as assistant. You had approved Travis and Megan already. Katina and JC as junior high, continuing again. And then also dance and cheer as Brianna Bomke, and Brianna is continuing.
Okay. Do I hear any motions on the floor for the fall coaching staff?
I will move to approve the fall coaching roster as listed.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the fall coaching roster as listed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to new business C, approval of the 2015-16 nursing contract.
Okay. Again, you've got that right behind the fall coaching. Again, it's agreement with the Polk County Health Department. Polk County Health Department is going to provide, again, the first 12 hours of service to us free, and then after that, first 12 hours are billed at a $45 per hour rate, and that is the same as last year. You can see the agreement, the contract, and everything is the same there again. Questions on nursing? We also have Teresa Klein, who isn't a registered nurse, but LPN, Chris?
No, it's just she's a certified medical assistant.
Okay. But as far as the actual nursing services, if we need different things throughout the year, we turn to Polk County, and again, this is something that we've done for many years.
Do we typically go over 12 hours?
No, it's 12 hours a month, and we,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
What are some of the main things we use them for?
If we have any kind of outbreak of any kind of flu or things like that, we'll have them come in as far as for training, for EpiPens, for any other kind of medical conditions that a student might have.
Bloodborne pathogens training.
Bloodborne pathogens for staff.
Hearing tests.
Hearing tests. They'll help coordinate. We do kindergarten or 4K through 4, Chris?
Yep.
At the elementary, all the
Yeah.
students with hearing tests, and they come in for that and coordinate the volunteers.
Just kind of a consulting basis too.
Yep.
You know, even things like if we have a head lice outbreak or something, she's a resource for parents to talk to or whatever as it helps. So just kind of as a as needed resource too.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the nursing contract.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the 15-16 nursing contract. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And we'll move on to new business D, approval of the 15-16 support staff work handbook.
Okay. You have in front of you a copy of that. You were sent 2 copies of the support staff handbook.
Felt like deja vu.
Yeah. Anyways, as you look through it, there is no changes here recommended tonight other than, first of all, in the support staff, all employees, if you remember last spring, it was approved by the insurance committee to move from employees paying 12.6% of health and dental insurance to 14%, and so that's noted in here, and so that's the only change within the handbook itself. Again, we have a handbook committee made up of support staff, teachers, board members, and so forth. But again, the one change that does came from the from the insurance committee. Other questions on it?
Does this committee meet regularly?
Only when needed, I guess, is really, Dave, is if we have something to address. So it's not a monthly or anything like that. It's,
When was the last time they met?
the insurance committee was part of it. That met last spring.
Yeah.
Yep. And as far as the handbook committee, last year, beginning of the year. Doesn't meet real often.
2014?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Do they have minutes? I was just
Notes.
Okay, because I was reading through, there's committees that are supposed to have minutes too, just like we're doing right here. I just want to make sure we're following the rules.
It's not an actual board committee. It's a handbook committee, so yeah, there's notes that are kept.
Okay.
So
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Looking for a motion?
I'll move.
Any seconds?
I will second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the 2015-16 support staff work handbook. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. And we'll move on to new business E, the 2015-16 teaching staff work handbook.
Okay. Same thing here. Again, very similar to the support staff. There's just language that pertains to teachers also, and The only change in this one is, again, when you find under insurance, moving from 12.6 to 14%. And same thing with dental, moving from 12.6 to 14%. And so, again, that came out of the insurance committee.
I have a question, Brad.
Yep.
We were talking earlier at another board meeting about the football coaches were getting a $25 stipend for practices before school started.
All coaches, yep.
And anyway, it doesn't make any mention of that in our policy.
Under page 4,
Yep.
okay, the co-curricular. As far as pay will be provided for Thanksgiving and Christmas, spring sports, and then the number of practices for fall sports will be contingent on WA mandates for a number of minimum practices. And so what that means is there's a certain number of minimum time that they have to meet before their first contest. Our first contest was last week. And so it goes back to the $25 per practice rate and the minimum number of practices that they have to meet in order to be eligible to play. So
So they get paid for every practice then prior to school starting?
the days, yeah, that they've got to hold X number of practices
Right.
according to WIA rules.
Right, I get that.
Okay.
But in number 1, they start out with Thanksgiving and Christmas. Shouldn't we recognize football in there as well, starting with the football season?
That's number 3 is, it says the number of practices for fall sports. That's volleyball and football.
Okay.
Fall sports
And it
practices.
focuses the start date.
Because each one has to have a minimum number of
Right, yeah.
practices before they can actually have a scrimmage
So
or a
we pay
game.
them for each of those coaches for each practice?
Correct.
Up to the minimum, or for each one?
Up to the minimum.
Okay, and not to exceed the minimum?
Correct.
They can choose to have more.
Okay. And one last question. Did we run moving or putting a link on our board policy? Did you ask the handbook committee on that?
It hasn't met yet.
On the teacher's retirement?
It hasn't met yet. So, I mean, that's something we can do.
Okay. Any thoughts on when that's going to happen, or,
We haven't had school yet.
well, is it scheduled? Just wondering
So-
if you're, what you're thinking.
As soon as we get teachers back, and
Okay.
Are there board members on that teacher handbook committee?
yes,
Who's on it? Greg, are you on that one?
I can't remember.
that's in your
last-
board protocol notebook that you have. I don't have it here tonight, but we'll find out.
I don't remember the last time we met.
Yeah. I'll, like I say, I don't have that book here, but
I think I was
It's part
on
of
it
that.
once. So,
Nobody knows if you're on it.
yeah.
it was handed out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It changes every year.
Yeah, it's one of the things we just wants
Yeah.
to be on at this time.
Interesting.
Okay, any other questions on the teacher handbook?
So this committee will meet, and then they'll go over this and make any changes?
If there's
during the year?
changes that need to be done, Dave, I mean, if there's suggested changes, or it may come from the teachers, it may come from the administration. Like I say, the insurance part of it, that was the insurance committee, and they made that recommendation. Well, that's part of the handbook, and you're the final say on the handbook, so.
Okay.
So then,
But they'll meet to, as far as if something comes up, like I say, if the teachers want to consider something, or if the support staff wants to consider something, okay?
So they don't meet on a regular
No.
basis, like once a year, just to kind of go
That's-
over everything for themselves?
That's right, that's what, they all get a copy of this at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Everybody does.
Okay. Any other questions on the teacher's handbook? What would happen if the board wanted to make some changes to the teacher's handbook, Brad? How would that work?
You would make the suggestion and have it go to the handbook committee?
Send it down the line?
Yep.
Okay.
And it would work in the opposite direction if the teachers wanted something changed, they'd come to you or the
They
board?
would come to the handbook committee first, okay, and then it comes to the board. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions on the teacher handbook? All right, then I would entertain a motion to approve it.
I will move to approve the teacher handbook for 2015-16.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the 2015-16 Teacher Staff Work Handbook. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Move on to new business, review of 2015 annual meeting document.
You should have one at your site here. What I want to do is take you through it before we have the annual meeting starting at 8 o'clock. And so we're prepared for the annual meeting. First of all, page 1, the table of contents, pretty explanatory. As far as the agenda, the calling to order, election of a chairperson, usually Greg, the board president, calls the meeting to order, pledge, and then election of chairperson. It can be anybody as far as from the public, or it can be you. Typically, it has been our board president, but that can be from anybody that makes a nomination from the floor. Approval of the minutes. The minutes are here. Lori Karnick, our district bookkeeper, has kept them in the past or taken them. Lori is here again tonight, and will be at the annual meeting. Auditor's letter, just as far as that they're in the process of, and I'll cover that. Statements of receipts and disbursements, and I'll jump there right now because I'll just go through them at this point, and I'll go through them again at the annual meeting. But Fund 10, I gave you that budget at our last board meeting, and projecting a balanced budget as far as revenue and expenditures. It's on page 9. First of all, the local revenue, you can see those, and those are the things that you saw the last time. I won't take a lot of time tonight. But the local sources, inter-district transfer is the open enrollment that we talked about. Transit of aides is from another school district that we do services with. State revenue, you can see that number again. That's the same as far as the per pupil adjustment. You can see the bigger numbers there. The per pupil aid adjustment, that's something this past spring that the governor had wanted to cut out of the budget, was put back in by the legislature, and you can see the kind of dollars that is to us, the $120,000 in that vicinity. It's $150 per child. Equalization aid, you can see that projecting that it's going to go up, but again, I will caution everybody at the annual meeting that it was projected to go up considerably last year. We have a number of unknowns around the state, especially this year. We have the unlimited charter school numbers, but then also the private school numbers that, again, all that money comes out of the same pot, and so that number could change, and I would consider, I know it will change downward, and if equalization goes down, that means local property taxes go up. So those two numbers we'll keep a close watch on. Sparsity aid is, again, that we're a school district under 750 students with less than 10 students per square mile, and so we get $300 per child for sparsity aid. SAGE aid, again, that's a program where kindergarten through 3rd grade, where it is used to have smaller class sizes at a ratio of at least 18 students to 1 teacher or less. And again, that is kindergarten through 3rd grade, and it's free and reduced kids that we get $22.50 per child. So again, I send out a letter at the beginning of the year encouraging people, and I realize it sounds like a double-edged sword, but encouraging people to apply for free and reduced meals, because if they do qualify, it helps us in a number of areas, and this is one of them that's a pretty big area. You can see it $22.50 per child. So that's the state revenue. Federal revenue, you can see, again, holding pretty steady, pretty flat. And then the total revenue up about $30,000, and the primary reason for that is open enrollment numbers coming in. So again, that's the same number I did show you the last time. And then the Fund 10 expenditures, next page. Moving through those, undifferentiated curriculum is our elementary, slightly down, regular curriculum, up slight, vocational, very similar, same with physical, co-curriculars, and GT are all very similar. Support services, again, pupil services is the counselors, educational media, library area, and Ben Strobach. District administration, building administration, and fiscal and operation as far as custodial. Again, numbers that are all very similar again. Maintenance down slightly with as far as again new equipment, new areas. Same with facilities acquisition and remodeling, dropping that some also. Again, with the updates in all the buildings. Transportation, very similar again. Internal services, same, and same with central services. Insurance and judgments, the insurance decrease that we talked about the last time. As far as interfund transfers, a couple things there. One, special education transfer, we usually don't know that till the end of the year. Just exactly where that's going to end up, but again, we've got to balance out Fund 27 with a transfer from Fund 10, and estimating that at about $560,000. Youth options, again, we have 1 or 2 students there this year. Unfunded liability referendum, you can see to Fund 39 a transfer of $128,000, and that number I want to talk about just a little bit because it's projected in our by Baird that we could use that out of fund balance and we could put that back into spending in the district. Right now I'm not taking it out of fund balance, what it's showing here. Once we have our numbers in October and we set the mill rate and all those kinds of things, I would tweak that one way or the other, and you can adjust that number really all the way to June when even with your new superintendent, if they look at it and say, you know what, we could use that 128, we'll take it out of fund balance. Right now I'm not projecting it out of fund balance. So, but the transfer is there to Fund 39 because we do make payments as far as on the remodeling and so forth. So that's going to be a number that's flexible, and I would give that flexibility to the next superintendent also. Open enrollment out, again, that number taking into consideration all kids that have applied. Again, not all kids go out, but 372, and you see that number's gone up. And so really offsets our number coming in and going out, but we do have more coming in, obviously, than going out. So as far as the Fund 10 balance, again, projecting a balanced budget. And but I'm going to ask, or at least inform the taxpayers that there's some flexibility there when it comes to the transfer to Fund 39. Next page, page 11. Fund 23 were teach funds. Those were technology funds. You can see the last time that we used them was 2013-14. There hasn't been allocations for a number of years. There is some talk, though, with the present legislation that we may bring back some type of technology dollars, and so, but at this time there isn't any, so I left that in there just again because of 2013-14. Special education, Fund 27. Again, you can see the transfer from Fund 10. Again, Fund 27 has to be a balanced budget, and so at 997, 890, and somebody would ask, well, you've got an increase of $60,000 there. Again, this is a budget. We get X number of dollars called flow-through dollars, and you're given a couple years to spend those, and we have some money that we will need to spend, or we'll lose it, and so it's in this budget to spend it. Fund 38, again, is the non-referendum, the energy exemption and unfunded liability. Again, projecting a balance there. And you can see the different expenditures also in that category. Fund 39 is our debt service. Again, if you recall our remodeling at the elementary, and here half of it went energy exemption, about half, and half of it went referendum, and so that other half is in this debt service area. And again, the amount of dollars needed to from Fund 10 into Fund 39, and I'm going to point out a new number there, transfer of energy savings. Again, the $53,219. Again, that's a number that would be coming from the energy savings from, and again, that's part of the finance plan, and that would be coming from Fund 10. And again, that number, along with the 128 and those two numbers, you're going to want to take a look at in October, November, and then also towards the end of the fiscal year. Again, those two numbers would, if you've got room to take them out of fund balance, but I'm a little on the conservative side, and I like to keep fund balance where it is healthy. And if we don't have to, I would recommend not. But again, that's going to be a decision in the spring with that number, with the 53,219. And then Fund 40, the capital projects, as far as where our dollars from the referendum and from the energy exemption over the last 2 years, you can see that there was $136,461 left. That was before the blacktopping was done. Take out $133,000 out of that, and it leaves us $3,000, and that's the sign is going to eat the greater majority of that up, and the energy exemption dollars and the referendum dollars will be spent, and the construction will be done. Fund 50, next page, page 13. Fund 50 is our food service, and again, we heard the report last time about the program and the excellent job Penny and her crew do. Again, projecting a balanced food service budget. It is well in the black at $56,000 at the beginning of the year, and we're projecting some equipment and some things out of there. But again, if there were something as far as at the high school kitchen, or who knows, an oven goes out or whatever, it comes out of there. So right now I would leave it a balanced budget with the carryover or with the fund balance. Fund 60 is our activity funds. Activity funds are money in, money out, and what that means is that these are the activity funds from the kids, whether it's FFA, FHA, classes, you name it, and you can see the balance at the beginning of the year of this year, $101,631. Again, it's just a crapshoot as far as, okay, is it going to be $175,000 through, and but again, it's money in, money out. It has to balance. So, and then Fund 72 is the scholarship fund. And what I heard the last couple days with investments.
Buy.
Interest of $5,500 on $400,000. Maybe we'll get it. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, again, this is one that that the scholarship committee helps manage, and you can see there that we're not projecting a big amount of money coming in. They do their annual fund drive, allowing $8,000 for that. You can see last year, 14-15 gifts. We did receive a gift there of, again, the $18,000, $19,000 mark. The year before, you can see where the large one was, the $150,000. And so, again, that's where the scholarships for Dollars for Scholars comes out of. And then page 14, community service is our community ed. And again, property taxes, that has been fixed for the last, 7-8 years at $20,000. And you can see other revenue, $36,000, and so a total of $56,629. We actually are starting the year with $18,000 balance in the fund, which is good. What do we do there? The expenses, classes for whether it's adults and for students, community education plays that Heidi helps put on, obviously the salaries of those people, the before and after school care programs that we offer from 6 to 8 o'clock and then from 3:15 to 6 o'clock. Also the wraparound program in the afternoon for our 4K. That's all part of Fund 80. And so again, projecting a balance, but we have $18,500 going in. So page 15, any questions on those numbers right now? I mean, they're, like I say, we covered most of them the last time, but the proposed levy then, again, this is an estimate, and for everybody in the crowd, hopefully you'll come down to the annual meeting and you'll get a booklet also, and you'll see that the estimate is our best guess right now. And our aid from the state is based upon student enrollment, it's based on evaluation, it's based on a number of items right now that is our best guess. We've been pretty good at it over the years. Yes, the state last year, as far as state aid, was off by $89,000 actually to Clear Lake, which is a big number. But again, we were able to adjust things that our mill rate didn't go out of line. And so again, what I've got on page 15 for the board here as far as a proposed levy, and you'll see it better on the next page, but the Fund 10 levy is the same that we just talked about. Total all fund, that's rolling Fund 38, Fund 39, and Fund 80 along with Fund 10 at $2,088,518, and our mill rate of 10.85. And you can see over the last 10 years what our mill rate's done. And I would caution you if somebody said, well, gee, what happened in 2006, 2007? The previous 2 years prior to that is when we finished off the football field and baseball fields, and we spent out of fund balance $450,000 and $500,000. So again, the more you spend the following year, your state aid is based on it. So that's why that one's down lower than normal. Then on page 16, if you look at that again, the far right column is the one that we try to keep as consistent as possible, and that's the total tax levy. And you can see over, again, the last 10 years what that's done, and so it's been fairly consistent. Last year the property tax rate was $11.22 per hundred, or per thousand, excuse me. And again, rolling that 10.85 forward, it's $10.85 a thousand that we're projecting. But again, I will qualify that with saying we've got a lot of unknowns coming in, and that potentially will go up. And I guess I could say it potentially could go down. So, but it's in good shape. Page 17 is just a diagram of where our funds come from. It's kind of nice to see as far as somebody says, well, what are you state aided? And you can see last year, 2014-15, we were 71% state aided. We've been consistently between 70 and 75% state aided. And this budget, the 15-16 budget, projecting 74.95 or 75% state aided. Page 18 is the equalized values. I got to tell the story because last week I was throwing a little scare. I'd given you these numbers, and on Wednesday I was notified by Baird, our financial advisors. Do you know that the village went down 29% in evaluation? And from 52 million down to 29 million or 32 million is what our school one was. And I looked at that number and I'm going, holy cow, we got to find something out here. What happened? And I was able to get hold of Al Bannock, and actually I got hold of Mrs. Shramsky first, and she explained that there was an error made in the manufacturing portion of the city taxes a year ago, and they were adjusting them, and I'm going like, well, yeah, but hang on, dropping them 29% has a big effect on our budget. And they said, well, we think that the state adjusted the schools before you actually levied last year, and that's what it was. And so I had a number of 32, but they had to add back almost $11 million to that. So you see the 42 million. So the village actually is going down 6% instead of 29%. And so it did cause me a little consternation there for a while, because I ran the mill rate, and all of a sudden that 10.85 I was projecting went to almost 12, and so the people from Baird were moving their pencils and pens, because obviously we don't want our mill rate jumping around like that. And but I was happy to hear that it was an error and that it was being corrected, and so just had to throw that out there. It was one of those that make an administrator gray-haired. The next 4 or 5 pages are debts that we have. You can see the junior senior high school. We'll be done paying off the junior senior high school in May of 2016. And then the next one is unfunded liabilities. That is the debt retirement on if everybody in the district retired at one time, or the school district went defunct, that would be the amount of dollars that we would need to fund that unfunded liability, and that we'd have to kick into the state retirement. And so years ago, again, we had taken out a loan to do that, and again, it sounds like a long ways off, but really is. In 2023, that's completely paid off, and we won't have that anymore. And the vast majority of school districts did that a number of years ago, just like Clear Lake. Next page on 21 is the energy exemption, and you can see, again, this year into next year, we are only paying interest. We're allowing the high school to go off because, again, we don't want that mill rate to jump around a lot. And the same thing, I'm going to, on page 22, same thing there, paying interest. Again, once the high school goes off, we'll roll right into it, and we'll keep the tax levy flat. Again, not have it jumping around. Then finally, on page 23 is all of the total refunding. '24 is information on the district. 25, 26, same. And 27 partially, and then enrollment. Last year we were at the annual meeting at projecting 607, and this year 620, up slightly. I know this year I took in 5 open enrollment applications today, so those aren't in there. So, but you don't know about those till the first day of school. But questions on the annual meeting document? And again, we've got a stack of them down in the commons for everybody to, if you don't stay for the annual meeting, pick one up anyways.
Okay. Anybody have anything else on the review of the 15 meeting document? All right, then we'll move on to new business. Item G, future agenda, special meeting, August 27th.
Okay. Thursday of this week. Again, you'd asked me to contact the WASB as far as their search agency. And again, if you remember, you do have, keep getting that paper clip caught in that, baby. You do have that. Have that at the meeting. Bring it along to the meeting. And you got it at the last meeting. And so bring that along to the meeting. It'll start at 6:30, last about an hour. And we'll put out the agenda tomorrow, and if you felt comfortable after that meeting to say, yes, let's go this route, you can make an approval to approve the WSB, and they will get right after it the very next day. So, but you'll get, like I say, have this at your meeting on Thursday, and they'll cover that and any questions you have. Questions on that?
Future agenda, I had a member of the community talk to me about or wanted to have us look into the possibility of us doing some trap shooting.
Okay. Yeah, and I was asked too, and what, any kind of new clubs, Greg, as far as if a person will, or what we have them do is put together the organization of it. Again, it would be trap shooting would be, I think, and I'm just saying this, but it would be similar to a ski club where it's a recognized club by the school, but it's organized. It has an organizational, but if it has a president and a treasurer especially, it takes place outside of the school, and it's organized by, it can be organized by other personnel, but they need to put together a plan, bring it in front of the board, have it approved to be recognized by the school district as a school club. And so,
Does WIA recognize trap yet?
no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So that would be, again, just like any other club that we don't consider, say, a hired position, but we want to recognize it as a club, allow them to meet during the school day. We got the travel club right now. That's an example also. And so, but that's, a number of people have asked me too, and that would be the message back to whoever asked you, is get organized. They can come in and see me as far as, here's what I would recommend bringing to the board meeting, and you guys would make the final decision to recommend it as a club within the school. Really what it does is gives them the opportunity to meet then during the school wrap period that clubs meet. So.
Okay. Anybody have anything else about future agenda items?
Cross country. There's talk about trying to get a cross country team established here in Clear Lake. What do we have to do to do that?
That would be, again, adding a sport. Now, that would be a school-sponsored sport. I should say you could do that as a club, too, but that I don't know of any other running clubs around here, but that would have to be considered a school sport. And as far as that, adding new sports, I mean, there's a number of things that goes into that, whether you're looking at Title IX, if you're looking at costs, you're looking at effects of how many different sports are you offering, those kinds of things. I mean, you'd want to take a long look at that and gather as much information as you could, and that would be up to the board to add a sport.
So how would we go about looking at the things that you were just mentioning, Brad?
Have the administration gather the information.
Kind of the way it sounded.
Yep. So.
Well, I suppose we'd start by putting it as an item on the agenda then.
I mean, that's the thing is, I guess I would want to know how much interest there is out there. I mean, if you're talking about 1 or 2 students, we'd want to find that out. I mean,
Right.
If you're going to put the time and then decide, yeah, we're going to do this, the dollars and everything, I think you'd want to know, I mean, yeah, is there one person, is there some kind of preliminary numbers?
So as a board, how do we do that? Just contact a couple people and say, you know, there's an expressed interest, gather your people and see what
Yeah.
see what you're thinking?
If you put it on the agenda as a board item, and again, ask people to come to it, potentially that way. We can do a survey. We've got Survey Monkey. I think that would probably be your best bet, is if we did that, and Ben's door is shut right now, but I think that's what I would recommend is, hey, let's do a Survey Monkey. If we've got some people out there that are asking, let's see what the interest is.
That'd be. Do we have to put that on as an agenda
No.
item too, or
No.
just put it out there?
We can just do that as a Survey Monkey.
Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that something that we could, if we have 2, 3, 4 kids interested, is that something we could look at co-oping as well?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of, speculation, whatever, tonight that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if we, if it's not, if it's an expense thing or something, we could, where we got 2 or 3, we could set up a co-op and.
Mm-hmm.
Been done.
Yep. So.
Okay. Anybody have any other future agenda?
I was wondering if we could get an update or like a presentation about how those 30 iPads that we purchased, how they're used, and if we could take a look at them. I mean, I'm curious to see.
At some point, I guess I would say, Dave, yeah, when we talked about it, Mr. Peterson did the presentation as far as the iPads, and they're going to be used for RTI. And so when the elementary staff has gotten into them and gotten the kids on them, and
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah. Because we've got more than just iPads. We've got numerous notebooks and carts of laptops, things like that. So. Yeah.
All right, anybody have any other future agenda things that we might want to talk about?
Are you gonna put that on the next, on the meeting on Thursday night, so we can put that as an agenda item? So after our meeting, then that might gin up some interest in the different things we might want on the next meeting? Yeah, it's gonna be on every one, but, yeah, 'cause that might spur a little conversation. We might wanna have a strategic meeting or something like that, you know, to all get on the same page what we're looking for in our new superintendent.
So you're talking about
Goals.
putting that item G on the next agenda
Mhm.
for the,
Okay.
yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
Because it's a special meeting, so just want to make sure that we could have the
Yeah.
opportunity to.
You know, I think that's part of what what the WSB rep will take you through, Tom, is, okay, part of the planning in here is meeting and, let's see here. What I'm looking for here, the meeting is also a great opportunity to talk about long-range and short-range goals of the district and how they connect to a search for a new superintendent. So that's part of this next meeting.
Yep.
So they'll take you through that.
Yep. But I think as a board, we'll need the opportunity to talk about it, you know, amongst ourselves, you know.
Well, this is an open meeting, so.
Yep, no, but in a future meeting setting,
Yeah.
so. It's hard to think of everything one shot.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Nope.
We have 7 minutes to kill.
Give you time to get ready for the
Excellent
end.
time management.
Want some elevator music?
Actually, 8 o'clock is the end of the meeting.
Oh, is
It's
it?
at 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
give us time.
We have 36 minutes to kill now then. All right, well, if there's no future agenda things that we want to throw on, then we'll move on to number 8, our adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
All right, I'll move to adjourn.
Any seconds?
I will.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Bye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.